Another Nintendo Switch 2 focused episode. Why not? It's only going to be a few more days or weeks until we actually see it, so let's go ahead and do it. My friends, welcome to the Mario Matter, your favorite Nintendo podcast, episode 109 with your host, Nintendo YouTuber, EmSwizzle. How's it going, my friends? Before we get into all of our Nintendo news and our Switch 2 wish list and answering your fan questions, folks, our guest today is ZackScottGames. With over 5 million plus subscribers on his YouTube channel, Zack specializes in commentary gameplay videos. He's been doing it for over a decade, almost 14 years at this point. We had an amazing conversation. If you're not familiar with Zack's channel, he covers new games like Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Astrobot, and a ton more. He joins us today. Amazing conversation. Let's not delay it any further. Let's get into Nintendo news. Let's meet Zack and have an awesome time. Bruce Buffer, read the intro. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Mario Matter, the #1 Nintendo podcast.
Zack, how is it going, my friend?
Pretty good, Max. How are you? Thanks for having me on the podcast.
It's going good over here. It's going good. There's a lot of big Nintendo news to discuss this week, as always. And this week, we actually begin with, Zack, what might be our biggest topic. Nintendo has shut down a Nintendo Switch emulator, another one. Did you see when they shut down the first one in Yuzu?
I didn't see specifically when they did that, but I heard about it.
Yeah, that was... People are frustrated. I'll go ahead and read the details here for our listeners, and then I'll grab your thoughts. It's kind of some long details here, but essentially, a Switch emulator, for those who don't really know, it's this piece of software that will let you play Switch games anywhere but your Switch, PC, Steam Deck, whatever. Nintendo doesn't like it, and so here we have a Switch emulator called Ryujinx. I'm going to call it Ryujinx. It just sounds better, but it could be one of those two. And the Ryujinx Discord put out a statement a couple days ago, and this is what it says, okay? Yesterday, GDK-chan, who I assume is the lead developer here, and I believe that's what they said, was contacted by Nintendo and offered an agreement to stop working on the project, remove the organization and all related assets he's in control of, while awaiting confirmation on whether he would take this agreement. The organization has been removed, so I think it's safe to say what the outcome is. Rather than leave you with only panic and speculation, I decided to write this short message to give some closure. These words are my own, and I don't want to speak for anyone else here. That's pretty much the main gist of it. Apparently, Nintendo offered this guy some agreement, and then, so those are the facts of the matter. The speculation here is that Nintendo paid him off. Do you believe this at all?
I guess it's possible. I almost wonder if the agreement was something more like, we won't do something bad to you if you stop. So, yeah, because they've been known to sue people, obviously with the latest PAL World thing. But as far as I understand, emulation and emulators aren't legal necessarily, but that doesn't mean Nintendo wouldn't engage them in some sort of a lawsuit. And plus, I don't know, they're very protective of their property. And I do wonder if it was more like, we'll give you something if you stop, or, we won't do something bad if you stop.
Yeah.
So
we don't have any more details beyond that, but I did see this. Apparently, that lead developer lives in, I believe, Brazil. And in Brazil, I guess emulation, like, if Nintendo were to sue or do anything, you can't. I assume Brazil, from what I've researched and what people are saying, like, if Nintendo tried to sue them, it wouldn't really work out too well for Nintendo. So there's someone else on Twitter, God, I'll put it on screen, I forget who said it, who said, like, Nintendo, and this is, Zack, this is wild, Nintendo, like, went to his doorstep and, like, said, hey, can you stop making it? We'll do this for you. We won't sue it. Something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hubbub, but in terms of emulators as a whole, I mean, do you feel like Nintendo would be in the right here to kind of try to take down these? Because obviously, the timing of this happening, it must have been after Echoes of Wisdom released, where Nintendo was like, we got to cut that off, because a lot of people emulated Echoes of Wisdom. Do you think Nintendo is in the right here to do this?
That's a good question. I mean, if we're talking about like a legal right, I'm not so sure. I know that sometimes I was doing a little bit of research before the podcast, because what I've heard is that emulating hardware, you're just kind of mimicking what the hardware does. It's not necessarily like any sort of intellectual property theft in that sense. But it's possible that Nintendo, because they're leveraging, a patent against Power World, it's possible that they would try to somehow leverage some sort of patent on their hardware. Again, I don't know if that's the case. I don't really know all the details about what Nintendo's powers are here. If we're talking about like a moral right, I don't know. It's tough to say. I'm a little split on it myself, because obviously without emulation, we wouldn't have something like, the Nintendo Switch Online, where you can play all those consoles. They have their own emulators. And, I'm in favor of emulation from like kind of an archive standpoint, where, there's software in the past that, the companies aren't keeping up with or not even releasing anymore. And so, but on the other hand, I understand that they have the Switch and they're coming out the Switch 2. They probably want to, to stop the development and the release of this type of thing, because a lot of their games, from what I understand, do get leaked early, and they're trying to clamp down on that, especially before the release of the Switch 2. They don't want to repeat of what's been happening the past few years with the Switch. If I were Nintendo, I would try to stop it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
People always are quick to say, screw Nintendo, this is wrong. But I feel like, and I compared this to like a YouTuber's thing almost, where it was like, imagine that there was a software out there called ZackScottEmulates, okay? And they had a full library of your videos even before they came out. And people were watching them and you lost revenue. You would take that down, obviously, right? Like,
sure, yeah.
Like, obviously. I feel like that's the position that they're in. Like, people are just downloading Echoes of Wisdom 5 days before it comes out because some greedy Gus leaked it from, they work at Walmart and they took it home or something and then uploaded. Like, it's not, they're not in the wrong, I feel. So, it's just a sticky situation. Yep, sorry.
The concern I have is, I was reading a little bit in this, I don't know if this is an open source emulator, so I do worry that even if this guy stops, there's going to be offshoots of it, that, it's going to continue on in some form, even though, and plus the previous versions, so I don't really know what the offer was or why this person stopped, especially since it seems like it's already out there into the wild and people are going to be still distributing it. So I don't know.
It's a weird situation, and they've now taken down like two of the biggest emulators in Yuzu and Ryujinx. We're gonna have to see if any more come up. I believe even Ryujinx was working on like an iOS version or something, which is pretty cool, like a phone version of it. That's now shut down. The whole thing's shut down. Any closing thoughts here before we move on?
Well, just kind of going back, when we're playing the Nintendo games on the Switch, we're playing through an emulator. So I wouldn't be surprised if 10, 20 years down the line, Nintendo has their own official Switch emulation system somewhere in a future console.
Yeah. For sure. They will release a Switch emulator, hopefully, for maybe Switch 2 can have the first official Switch emulator. Backwards compatibility. But our next piece of news here is actually one coming out of Japan, but trust me, it's one that you'll want to hear about. We reported 2 weeks ago, Zach, that the Nintendo Museum, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. It might have been last week. Actually, it was last week. Sorry, you don't care about this, Zach. But anyways, the Nintendo Museum opened this week, and last week we reported, Zach, have you seen the freaking gift shop in the Nintendo Museum?
It's a dream for collectors, for sure.
Oh my God. So that museum opened this week and people are going in, and guess what happened within one day? They have already had to limit the amount of items you can buy. So I'm sure you've seen, I'm sure everyone's seen, and I'll put it on screen and I'll put image links in the description for our audio listeners. These gigantic Nintendo controller plushies. There's a Wii Remote, an N64 one. We all want this, right? Like, everyone wants this.
I could see it in your room right there. That'd be cool.
We can have it right here. The big Wii Remote right here. So people are buying these. And of course, as scalpers might, these are only in Japan. These are now being listed on eBay. And now if you, or if I want to buy a Nintendo Wii Remote for my room, here are the current prices if you want to purchase these items from scalpers. The Wii Remote plush is $300 on eBay if you want to get it shipped to you. The Super Famicom controllers are $500.
Wow.
And the N64 controller plush is $300. Now, these all cost somewhere around, converting yen to dollars, $100. Somewhere in that range, for one of these. I believe it was like closer to $90 US, but somewhere in this $100 range. I mean, you know what, Zach? I was looking at these and listen, 300's not a small sum of money, but I was tempted. Would you ever pick up one of these for that kind of money?
I mean, if I really was wanting to update the decor of my room, maybe I could write it off as like a business expense. So
right.
I try to limit the type of things I collect because otherwise I would go crazy just collecting a whole bunch of Nintendo stuff. So I try to limit it more towards just the actual games and the products that can actually be used within the gaming. But I mean, they look nice. Those, especially, I like the N64 controller, especially because of the shape of it. It looks really cool. And I gotta wonder, I don't think these are limited edition, are they? Because they're going to keep making them. So hopefully they can keep up with the demand. And I could even see them, if the demand's high enough, maybe these could wind up in the American online store. That would be cool.
Yeah, I imagine the demand is just humongous. They shouldn't be limited edition because I think everybody would want these. But yeah, I mean, as you said, they should. Honestly, it's so weird. Have you ever been to the Nintendo New York store?
I did not know. I should have gone, but I haven't been.
I bring that up because the Nintendo Japan store, and I've never been there, but I've seen pictures and new items that come out there. The Japan store is so much cooler. They need to throw these in the New York store, man. In the Nintendo New York store, it's just it's just they have some cool stuff. They have some t-shirts and stuff that are exclusive, but it's like your run-of-the-mill Mario plush and Link plush, and it's not phenomenal.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess this museum is kind of themed around the history of Nintendo and its hardware and software and all that stuff, and so having some hardware plushes makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I do want those to bring them over here, and or at least keep making them so that people can buy them and sell them over here.
Yeah, is there a massive controller plush that you would buy for this kind of money, or none are worth it for that kind of $300?
Oh man, I mean, I probably wouldn't buy it for myself unless I could justify it as a business reason. If I came up with a cool, if you have any ideas about how I can decorate this area, let me know. But if I were to come up with it, I'm like, you know what, I would really love a couple of plushes in here of the controllers. Then yeah, I mean, I would try to swing it. Yeah, just because I'd be in fact, that would be the justification I would use. I'd be I need it for the videos.
Heck yeah. we got to get some 3 big shelves back there, and then we can put all of the controllers. I'm going to mail you all of them. And you buy the shelves, I'll mail you the controller plus. We're going to put 3 big shelves and put them all up there, okay? Boom, scalpers. Yep.
Please don't do that because I would feel obligated to use them.
For sure. I will not. Do not worry. But something else that's not being scalped and doesn't cost very much. Actually, you do have to buy the Switch Online expansion pack, so it does cost a little bit. Switch Online is getting brand new Game Boy Advance games. And my friends, if you thought the F-Zero franchise or series was at all going away, you would be, in fact, incorrect. They are adding 2... I shouldn't say brand new, they've been out forever. 2 F-Zero games to Switch Online Game Boy Advance library. The first one being F-Zero Climax, which was never previously released outside of Japan. And then the other one being F-Zero GP Legend. Now, here's the thing, Zach. I've never played either of these. These were before my time. Have you played any of them?
I hadn't played them, and they were during my time, but I hadn't played them. I didn't I really didn't play much of the Game Boy Advance games. I didn't really get into the handhelds until the DS came around. So pretty much the entire Game Boy Advance catalog. I think there's an exception of like one game. I played like one of the Metroids a while back, but I really didn't get my hands on that stuff until the DS came around.
Game Boy Advance, I need to go back and play more of those games, like especially F-Zero. I like F-Zero 99. You've played that, right? Have you?
I did, yeah.
That's real fun. I like that. If this is any what similar, I bet I would enjoy it. They release Friday, October 11th. Small piece of news, but more so like the bigger picture. You know, they release Switch Online games so often for Game Boy Advance, NES. When you see these kinds of things, are you like, yo, that's so cool? Are you excited, or is it kind of like a total nothing burger?
Well, I mean, I don't have a lot. I pretty much, the games that I play are the games that you end up seeing on my channel, so I don't have a lot of time to play these games. But I like that they're bringing them out because, especially something that's never been released outside of Japan is really cool. Because even though it might be out there somewhere, emulation, who knows? I'm not going to check. but just the idea of them having an officially released one, maybe one that's I don't, maybe they put some localization in it or something that's unique. I would love that opportunity if I were like really into F-Zero, or if I were really into Game Boy Advance games, and that sounds awesome. I mentioned that I didn't really play until the DS. I forgot to mention though that the DS was backwards compatible with Game Boy Advance games, so that's the one. I did not have a Game Boy Advance, but when I'm remembering, like I surely played a couple of Game Boy Advance games. I think I played it through that backwards compatibility with the DS there. I want them to do more like never release outside Japan type of things when they do bring games to the Nintendo Switch Online, because that kind of gives us a unique experience that we can only get through that little platform that we're paying monthly for.
I just wish, I mean, like you said, I want all that Japan stuff. They recently brought over like some Starfy games. I'm not sure if you're familiar. The whole thing was in Japanese. It's like a Nintendo franchise, I guess, but it was like all in Japanese. So like you're just kind of, it's a platformer game. So you're just kind of playing it, not knowing what's going on. I believe, I actually could be wrong. I think F-Zero Climax here is translated to English. I think it is from what I saw in the trailer.
Okay.
Obviously it's not out yet, but I believe that's the case. If not, I think it's easier to pick up F-Zero and play than it is to like play a story-based game that's only in Japanese. But
yeah,
we will see. October 11th, that comes out. Now here's the spicy topic, okay? Here's the spicy topic here that I wanted to bring up. It's not a gigantic topic. Well, actually, you know what? I am pretty into this, and I want to get your take here. So I saw this piece of news on Nintendo Life, and it reads, knockoff Mario Christmas game is releasing this month, Zach. So it's a knockoff Mario game.
Yeah.
Guess what it's titled?
Well, I don't have to guess. You sent me.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have notes on your side. It's called The Legend of Santa.
Oh yeah.
We're like taking Mario and Zelda here. Got a Mario game called The Legend of Santa. So this game is coming to Switch, but the twist is it's already been released on Steam. And the weird thing is, it's highly reviewed. Now, like it's highly rated rather.
Yeah.
And for those who, I'm putting video footage on the screen for our video listeners, audio listeners, link down below if you want to go and check it out. This is like Mario Bros. 3 ripoff to a T. Yeah. I mean, this is just horrendous. This is bad.
I like how they're calling it The Legend of Santa, like they're using like a Zelda-ish title, but it looks like Mario.
I know. That's awful. I mean, I don't want to keep saying it's awful. Because here's the thing about this. It's a Mario Bros. 3 ripoff, but it looks good. Like, it actually looks like fun. There's multiplayer, too. It looks really good.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it until you sent it to me, and I was like, what? And then I Googled it, and I'm like, I did see the Steam page on it, and I thought about it, just like, well, I could just play it, I guess, for $5 to see what it's like. It does have, like, yeah, I don't know. Is it coming to the Switch, though? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, so it's coming to Switch on October 28th. I mean, I'll pick it up. I'll give it a little shot.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be a love letter to the Mario franchise or Mario 3 specifically, and maybe Nintendo was cool with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, because they had to have approved it, but at the same time, they approve like AI made bad games too. So like, what are the standards for getting on the eShop? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, once again, it's a ripoff, but it does look good. When you see a ripoff, though, I mean, there's countless ripoffs. There's like a ripoff on Link's Awakening. It's not on Switch, I don't think, but there's one on Steam. There's like Stardew Valley ripoffs. When you see that, if you ever see them, would that just be like an immediate, I guess, no way I'm playing that, or are you still open to like ripoff games?
I think for me, the important factor is time. How much time has passed since the game was released. And so, when you have a game that seems to be copying Super Mario Bros. 3, that seems like a significant amount of time that they're just kind of honoring the title in a way. If they came out with a game that, looked and functioned very similar to like, I don't know, like Tears of the Kingdom or something. And then I was like, okay, I'd be like, okay, that's a little ripoff. That feels more cheap than something that's, copying something that's, 30 years old by now or 20. I don't know how long Mario came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this might just be like their way of paying like a tribute to it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with it in this format. This seems okay. I don't know that I'll play it, but it seems pretty cool in a certain way.
Yeah, I'm a big like Christmas game fan. Like last year there was like a Grinch game that came out. Dude, I was all over that. That was great. It was kind of overpriced though. It was $40.
Oh wow!
But I was all over it.
Well, this one's only $5, so.
Fantastic. I'm going to pick it up. But, my friends, that is the Nintendo news. A little bit light as we make our way into the Switch 2 talk, I guess. Like, Nintendo news is going to be kind of light. They're going to hopefully show off their new console soon. So, hopefully we get more news by then and we can start having more to talk about here. But, to fill in that gap between now and the Switch 2, me and Zack have prepared I wrote our full Switch 2 wish list. It's only 5 things. We both wrote 5 things that we want in a Nintendo Switch 2, whether it be the games that it comes with, whether it be the power, whether it be whatever the heck. We want these things to happen in the Switch 2 generation. We both have 5 things. Let's go ahead and let's talk about that. Folks, there's a lot of things that we want with Switch 2 and a lot of rumors swirling around. Freaking 2 screens, 8K power. I mean, like, there's a lot going on. And, when we think about Switch 2, there are some realistic things that we want. And so me and Zack, as I said, have picked out 5 things that we want, realistic or not. And to be clear, before I begin with Zack here, this is a wish list, not a predictions list. Some of the things that I've picked out are a little bit outlandish. Some of them, not all of them. But yours, Zack, I'm gonna let you begin. Feel free to tell us about your list. We're gonna go 1 for 1. So one of yours, one of mine. Go back and forth. You go ahead and begin with your first one.
Okay, so I wrote them down so I don't forget. But the first one, I feel like this has got to be. If this isn't a feature, I will be shocked.
Okay.
Because if you take a look at what happened with, like I mentioned earlier, the DS had backwards compatibility with the Game Boy Advance. The Wii U had backwards compatibility with the Wii. So I really hope that the Switch 2 has backwards compatibility with the Switch games. Now I'll add a little caveat. This time, though, I hope that comes with some sort of enhanced performance, like we've been seeing happen with, the PlayStation has been, releasing games from the past that have like enhanced performance. I know those are kind of like remasters or whatever, but also as we were talking about with the emulation, a lot of reason that people use these emulators is because they can play those games on the PC with like a higher frame rate, or a higher resolution. I hope that the Switch 2 allows us to, at the very least, play some of those games with a higher frame rate. Like I would love to play Breath of the Wild or something like that at 60 frames per second on Nintendo hardware. That would be really cool. So that's my wish. Backwards compatibility, but with slight improvements on those.
I would freaking love that because, Switch has so many good games and like if you look at a game like Smash Bros. Ultimate, I mean, realistically, we're probably not going to get a Smash game on Switch 2, like a new one, until like a couple years in. Like the Smash, well, actually, that could be a lie. Smash Bros. Ultimate came out in 2018, so that was 1 year later. Okay. So, what I'm saying here is you want to be able to play those good Switch games on Switch 2. Like, Smash Bros. Isn't out on Switch 2. Hey, I can backwards compatible play Smash Bros. Ultimate all as well, Things like that, especially if they have better performance. That's a real good pick. I didn't put that on here, so thankfully we did not overlap. But yeah, I mean, that's one that like has to happen. And by the way, I think will happen. Do you think it'll happen? Like it'll pretty much happen?
I think the backwards compatibility will for sure happen. I just don't know if they'll invest anything in sort of upgraded performance. I don't know, because I don't think they did that previously. Like because the 3DS could play DS games, but I don't think there was any boost. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, so. I don't know. It's hard to say. I would love it. I think games are designed to look like we weren't so worried about frame rate, with DS games. So
right, yeah.
But now, but I hope so. I'm pretty confident backwards compatibility will be a thing. I just don't know if there will be enhanced performance or not.
We will see. That would be so amazing. And you know what? I'm actually going to rearrange my picks because you talking about performance and everything. This pick of mine fits well in that conversation. So
okay.
This was going to be the fourth one that I bring up. I'm going to go ahead and bump it up to number 1. And this is such a niche thing, but Zach, I'm not sure if you can see. I'm not sure how big my screen is on your end. There's a game up behind me. I'm not sure if you can see it.
I'll zoom in.
Are you able to? Okay. There's a certain game.
Is that Animal Crossing?
That would be Animal Crossing New Leaf, my favorite game of all time.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I want that on Switch 2, but I'm a big Animal Crossing fan overall. And we have not had an Animal Crossing game, a mainline one at that, since 2009, run at 60 frames per second. Nintendo, give me enough power to run an Animal Crossing game at 60 FPS. There's some cringe factor almost when I play New Horizons. New Leaf makes sense. It's on 3DS. There's not many, if any, 60 FPS 3DS games. But New Horizons, I feel like it's sort of intense, for the Switch's hardware. There's something about 60 FPS, and it might not seem like a very big deal, but I'm actually replaying, getting back into, Animal Crossing City Folk. That's 60 frames per second, and it's so noticeable, and it's great. I just want a well-powered, well-performing Animal Crossing game on Switch 2. That's my first wish list mark, but that's kind of one of the more outlandish ones. It should happen, but I don't think that they're really focusing on that to happen. So it's kind of a weird one, but that's my first.
I mean, I totally agree. My second point is closely aligned with that. So
okay,
I'll talk about that, and then but I'll comment more on what you said. I love Animal Crossing too. I don't know how we got by. Most Switch games seem to be 30 frames per second. I play a lot of Splatoon. Splatoon's different. They do go ahead and do 60 for the action based stuff. But all those games, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, I so wish were 60 because you can really tell a difference. There is a fidelity thing. Like when you're scrolling around, you can tell it's 30. Although I love those games, I have a ton of fun playing those games. I so wish they were 60. And that would just be another thing that would kind of get rid of an excuse for emulation, as to tie it back to the beginning thing. If they could do it at 60 frames per second, I just hope for new games, because oftentimes you see these developers, not Nintendo necessarily, but even when The Last of Us 2 for the PlayStation first came out, I think it was on the PS4. The PS4 could do 60 frames per second, but that game, I guess the graphics were so intense that they only ran it at 30, and it wasn't until later releases that they started, upgrading it to 60. And so I just hope, if they, obviously the console needs to do 60 by default, but I just hope more of the games that come out are developed and programmed at 60 frames, because it really does make a difference. I agree with you that it makes a big difference. So that my second wish is that when it's docked, I hope it's a 4K, because I recently played Astrobot for the PlayStation 5. and it was just so beautiful. I have a 2K monitor that I game off of right now, and just the upgraded fidelity and the graphics, and it being 60 frames per second, all that stuff looked great. But all I could think about was like, man, I would love a Mario game that's 4K or something, just to. And I don't know if they're going to prioritize that. They may not need to, and I'll be fine at 1080p. I'll be fine. But I do hope they lean more into 60 frames per second, more so than they did with this with the first Switch. So that's my second wish: is 4K 60 when docked. I know that when it's not docked, it's a little bit of an issue. But when docked, I hope they can pull it off. If not, I'm not going to be mad, because it's much easier to record and publish videos in just 1080p. The processing time's not a lot faster, so I won't be mad. But I want to emphasize that 62. So I agree with you there. I'm right there with you.
I feel that major. Like whenever you're dealing with any kind of 4K files, to get technical, it's a nightmare. Like when you're editing them or anything, it's just a nightmare. Like it's bad. But hopefully that does happen, because the next step, it's 1080p docked. The next step would be 1440. Wait, that's not 4. That's 4K, right?
Well, yeah. If they did 1440, that'd be 2K, and I'd be fine with that too.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Yeah. Okay. So 4K would hopefully be the next step.
Yeah.
So that's 2160.
Yeah. And
Okay. Got
and that would be, that would put it in line with. I mean, obviously, I don't expect it to perform as well as the PS5, obviously, but it would at least put the technical spec, in line with something like the PS5, even though they don't have to have all the graphics to, perform like the latest, Spider-Man 2 game on the PS5 or something like that. But I would just love it if, they could make the claim it was 4K 60 or something like that. Because I think a Mario game in that would look absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, a Zelda game in that would look just gorgeous. And so I would prefer, what I was saying though, is I would prefer the frame rate over the resolution.
Mm-hmm. And even something like Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, I'm sure you've been playing that.
Yeah,
it's a great game, but I'm sure it's not just me who notices a lot of frame drops in that game.
I'm surprised that there are so many frame drops in that. I didn't remember that many frame drops from that. The name escapes me. The previous Zelda game that they had remastered or redid that was in the same style.
Link's Awakening.
Yeah, Link's Awakening. Sorry. I did not notice frame drops in that game so much, but this game definitely has a lot of frame drops. And at first, I was thinking like, "Oh, am I doing something wrong? Like, am I capturing it wrong somehow? Is something going on?" But yeah, I mean, we're obviously really late in the Switch life cycle, maybe later than they originally planned. But it's showing now on these games that they're releasing. It's showing that. And even when we were looking at the when they did the reveal for the next Metroid Prime. I was looking at that. It looked great, but I'm like, surely it's going to look even better on the Switch too, right? So
right, yeah.
So yeah, man, yeah. I hope for more performance. So that was my. What was your number? I think we're on your number 2 now.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And also that Metroid Prime 4 trailer. Not sure if it was just me. That looked like a Switch 2 game. I'm not sure. That could be unpopular. I mean, I think most people were saying that, or some people were saying it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's a dual release that'll happen?
If I think it could very well be a dual release, like they've done with excuse me, like Zelda, like Breath of the Wild was a dual release. So
right.
I could definitely see the Metroid game being a dual release. They don't want to so quickly abandon the original Switch players, but they also want to get new stuff out there for Switch 2 players. So. I with the timing of that, I would expect it to be a dual release.
Yeah, pretty interesting. But we're on to my number 2, and this one I really want to happen. And I feel like, and I say it a lot, I feel like Nintendo has been really good at listening and almost catering to fans recently. You don't just bring back Mario and Luigi is the exact phrase that I use. They're really listening, I feel like. So something else that we've requested, that we've wanted, is my number 2. And my number 2 is themes and or home menu music, like home menu themes and things like that. Oh God, where do I begin? When you turned on your 3DS, which had themes, of course, everyone's 3DS was so different. It was so different. Everyone had a different theme. Even, I'm not asking for this, but even with the 3DS, they went to the level of creativity where you could, on the 3DS, on the new 3DS, you were able to change like the shell of your 3DS. Like you could do that. Everyone's 3DS was so different, and I feel like the Switch is missing that. If you have the red and blue Joy-Cons, congrats, your Switch is the same as everyone else's with red and blue Joy-Cons. I want themes to make it your own, and home menu music. You look at the Wii, you look at the Wii U, even 3DS, or even DS. When you look back at that generation, one thing that comes back to me is like, man, that home menu music is like forever engraved in my head. Like it's just there. It's like, that's what you think of. That's what makes it all nostalgic. That's how you remember it. If you go to the Wii home menu music video on YouTube that somebody posted, there's people just dumping their memories listening to that song. We need music. We need themes. That's my number 2.
That's a good one because, you know, especially with a console that you take with you, you know, like it's a portable console, a mobile console, whatever you want to call it. But it's something that's kind of like a part of you that you take with you, and so being able to customize it would be really, really cool.
Right.
And I don't know that now that you say that, it just kind of reminds. I mean, I didn't even notice it, but like, yeah, although the UI I think on the Switch is really good, yeah, it is kind of basic. so
there's a reason why the themes are called Basic White and Basic Black.
yeah. So
they're basic.
Yeah.
Alrighty, hit us with your number 3.
Okay, so for my number 3, I know there's been a lot of complaints about the Joy-Cons with the Switch, but I hope that they're a little bit more upgraded and larger. Especially if the Switch 2 is larger, I would expect that the Joy-Cons just by default would be larger, but I kind of mean larger in the sense of like bulkier, fits in your hands better, such that you might want to use the Joy-Cons. I never really use the Joy-Cons when I play. I always use the Pro Controller because I don't play portable. You know, I never really take off the Joy-Cons and play the games. I'm always, you know, just using the Pro Controller here. And so I would like it though if the Joy-Cons were a little bulkier. I know this is a weird throwback, but for like the Wii U, despite any complaints, I really like the way that the Wii U gamepad kind of felt in your hands because it was thicker, it felt good. And then when the Joy-Cons came out, the buttons were smaller, the form factor just in general was small. They just felt kind of weird in my hands, and pretty much the only time I used them was for snipper clips and was for the Skyward Sword, re-release on the Switch. I was using the Joy-Cons for those because there's a lot of like motion, and it just felt better to have it, you know, separate, and so I can swing like this and stuff. And but for everything else, I just use this. It would be nice if it felt a little more like the Pro Controller in your hand. Of course, with it being, you know, a tablet-like shape, I don't expect it to be very bulky. I do expect it still to be kind of, you know, thin. Just a wish. It's just a wish. I don't expect it. So,
man, I've been calling for that for so long. Like, there's something about just how they feel in your hands. It's not the most comfortable thing. I mean, as you just said, I'm honestly in full agreement with you. That Wii U gamepad, just cut that in half and make 2, Joy-Cons out of it. That would be phenomenal. There's actually like third-party Joy-Cons that do have like a grip like that.
Yeah.
So it's doable. And like I have it on my Switch. It looks fine too. It doesn't look super weird. But you even look at like the Steam Deck too. And like that's a handheld size and it's bulky. It's a little bit more comfortable than the Switch is. I fully agree with you on that point. Bigger Joy-Cons, please. Also, one thing. Did you see how they put out this accessory that like charges your Joy-Cons only? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
So Nintendo, weirdly enough, at this point in the Switch's life, I think this month, I think with Jamboree, they are releasing an accessory. It's very simple. You put your Joy-Cons on and they charge.
Okay.
Official Nintendo accessory. They've never had that before. People speculate it's because they're going to make larger Switch 2 Joy-Cons. Like I don't know. It's a weird rumor, but I did want to maybe try to support your wish list thing here, that it might actually be happening.
Okay, so that way you'll be able to still use your old hardware on the new system, but they're giving you a way to charge them since you're not going to have them plugged in anymore.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think the rumor that I failed to mention here is you're able to charge. Sorry, I'm going on like a tangent here, but
no.
Those NES Switch Online controllers, they're like all big and everything, and they show that you can put those controllers on the Switch charging stand.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing, though. Those are big controllers, and now people are like, hey, you're not showing that. Like, you showing us that the NES controller works. That's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to make space there for the bigger Switch 2 Joy-Cons, like, without actually telling us that. It's all a rumor. It's all a rumor, but it's interesting. Hopefully larger Joy-Cons do happen, though. That would be great.
Yeah, I need to look that up because I hadn't really paid attention to that news, so I need to look that up and check that out, because that does sound like, when they start making like little changes to the console, or little accessories for the console that's already been out for so long, you got to wonder, like, is it really for this one?
Yeah,
because they've had all this time. Is it really for this one?
Maybe not. We'll see. But you know what? I'm gonna rearrange again, because
here we go.
This next wish list piece of mine fits better with your last one. So Zach, want a brand new button, a new something on my Joy-Cons, on my larger Joy-Cons. I want something brand new.
Okay.
And
what are you thinking about?
That is something that I didn't come up with, but what I've seen, and then after me seeing it, I want that. And that is scroll wheels on my Joy-Cons. So
that's cool.
This has not, once again, I've not made this up. The creator of Smash Bros. And Kirby, Masahiro Sakurai, has brought up many times how he wants that on his game controllers. He thinks it would be so cool. I've seen other people be like, yeah, that would be so awesome. I'm going to piggyback. I want that on my Switch. Imagine, instead of using that D-pad to scroll down a huge list, you use the scroll wheels, put it right in between the gap between the left bumper and the left trigger, right in that gap. Put a little scroll wheel action right in there. You can start scrolling down your menu. If they bring back Miiverse, you can scroll through Miiverse with it. You can do a lot with it. So I would really enjoy that.
I think that would be pretty cool. And, are we talking about like a mouse scroll wheel?
Yeah,
basically, like
something like that.
Yeah, but like in a convenient place for it. That could be really cool. A lot of their games have scrolling through menus, like Echoes of Wisdom. You're scrolling through that thing all the time. So to pick the items, and even Tears of the Kingdom in a way. So yeah, having a dedicated scroll wheel could be pretty cool, especially if you just start doing the scroll wheel and this thing comes up and starts scrolling automatically, so you don't have to like push another button to first initiate it. That would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that. On the Joy-Con, I would probably put it somewhere on the back, or maybe, I don't know, because like I'm trying to think now, like which finger I would want to use. Like maybe like if it's on the Pro controller, I would probably put it like right here somewhere, so that like my middle fingers or something, or my ring fingers could like just kind of scroll or something when I need it to. Because like I know that some controllers, I don't have one with me, but like I think, I don't know if the Xbox has done it, but I know the PlayStation has like released like a Pro controller version of theirs where they have like all these extra features and buttons and I don't even know what they're called, but like little triggers on the back and stuff like that. And I don't use them, but I understand that like there's a lot of people who play like shooter games or something. They just really want extra buttons so they can maybe pull out like a grenade or something faster. Or I don't know, but yeah, just having a scroll wheels is a really cool idea, because that would be really innovative, because I don't know any other controllers other than a mouse, obviously, that have a scroll wheel. And Nintendo's kind of been known for unique control schemes in the past and unique controllers in the past. So throwing in a scroll wheel would be something that like no other console is doing right now. And that would be really cool if Nintendo did that.
Mm-hmm. You had said like scrolling through those Zelda menus, and bro, the Echoes of Wisdom one is so long. I would love a scroll wheel. Like I'm like spamming the D-pad trying to find which Echo I want. It's insane. I would love it. But so you would want it like on the back? I was really thinking like right where your pointer fingers are, like right in between that ZL and
I don't have my Joy-Cons in front of me, so like
right where. So
I'm trying
if you have your pointer finger on the trigger, like right in between there and the bumper, somewhere right in there.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I was just trying to think of something to do with like my other fingers when I'm like,
that too could also work.
But this is of course not the Joy-Con, so like my Joy-Cons are over there. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's up for debate where they go.
But for sure. We will see. There was actually a funny rumor that came out recently where somebody who claimed to know that they knew what the Switch 2 looked like, they said that it had scroll wheels on it. Massive grain of salt. It was some random Reddit person, but
yeah,
I don't think it's real. But hey, I like to believe stupid things, and hopefully it could happen one day. Who knows? But on to I believe we're on your number 4?
Yeah,
4.
I'll go ahead and I'll flip these two. Number 5 won't be as exciting, but but this one kind of ties in because we're talking about hardware and stuff. And, I don't expect there to be, dual screens. I know that a lot of people have been talking about having dual screens on it would be really cool because it'd be like when they went from the DS to, or when they went from just like the Game Boy Advance to the DS for the dual screen. Like who would have ever thought of dual screens? And then, the Wii U kind of had dual screens in the sense that you had a screen on the gamepad, a game on the TV. I would like some form of dual screen compatibility. I don't know how. I don't know why. No, I this kind of ties with my next point, but I'll just say that it would be really cool. And the idea that I had, I Googled it, and there is like a third party system that is for the Switch, like a third party attachment where you could, you can put the Switch vertically. And so I was thinking if you wanted to play, if they were to somehow bring in, DS games or remasters or something, you could have the Switch be vertical, but then have the Joy-Cons on the side. And I heard rumors that they might be magnetic anyway. So if that were the case, if they are magnetic, then there's no reason that they couldn't allow you to play the Switch in a vertical format. And then that way, maybe my real wish is some way to convert it to vertical format.
Yeah.
but I'm thinking dual screen. I'm thinking about if they ever want to bring in DS games or even Wii U games or something without it being a remaster, then it's just a wish. I don't expect it, but some form of dual screen functionality would be really cool. And the way that I thought they could do it easily without actually putting a second screen on there was allowing you some way to turn the Switch vertically, and then you could just split the screen in half and have one on top, one on bottom, and that would be just kind of cool because I do miss when I'm playing Splatoon 3. I miss how a Splatoon 1 there was a map always on my controller, and I miss that because it was easy to jump like that. I just have to look down and click. And so I was like, well, I don't know what they would do if you're in docked mode, though. I don't know if they would have some way for you to... It would almost be cool if there was a way that you could still be docked wirelessly, just like the Wii U, where there is a system on the dock, but then there's also a system in your hand. And then that way you could still play and not have any issues. But that would be very Wii U-like, and I don't know if they would want to do that again. But the only thing I can think of, and I did look it up, and there is an accessory for the Switch that allows you to make it vertical because a lot of mobile games, if they ever want to bring those to Switch, they would have to kind of convert it in a way to horizontal. But a lot of mobile games are designed to be vertical, and it'd be cool to kind of see some of that over on the Switch, and all you would have to do. So yeah, instead of maybe dual screen, my real my real wish is a way to kind of make it vertical.
Either one, whatever gets us playing 3DS games faster.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But this could sound crazy. To expand on your point, if they have it vertical, you're talking about mobile apps.
Yeah.
Let's get TikTok on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. You can do that.
I don't actually want that. But I would love if we could have that. Any sort of extra screen for 3DS, DS games. I feel like, I love your point. I just feel like it would be hard to have a separate screen because it's kind of like a hard sell.
Yeah.
Whether it's included or it's not. It would be tough, but vertical playing, would you mostly want it for DS games? 3DS stuff?
Yeah,
the same.
That's my next point.
Yeah. Oh. Shoot, we can get to it in a minute. Should I give my next one, or do you want to go to your next point?
You go ahead. We'll continue taking turns. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got 2 left. One real good, one very niche. You know what, Zach? These are all tying in very well together. I'm going to rearrange, and we're going to go to this. Because speaking of 3DS, I said Nintendo is very good at listening. I'm a very hopeful person. Give me the good old Street Pass on my Nintendo Switch 2. Give it to me. The Switch is a portable device, and for those who don't know what Street Pass is, it was a feature on the 3DS where essentially if you walk by somebody in person who had a 3DS in public, you couldn't be on Wi-Fi, then you would kind of swap data. So on your 3DS, you would kind of see their me, where they're from, what games they've been playing. It was a cool little thing, and they could also like participate in games in your Street Pass Plaza. It was a whole thing. Yeah. This is what I want on the Switch, because the Switch, there's 130 million people own Switches. Like, if you take that out in public, you're bound to get a bunch of Street Passes from like somebody. If you're driving some kid in the car next to you who has a Switch, please playing. Like, there's a lot of ways to get Street Passes. So I would really like to see that come back. And it would give me a reason to take my Switch more places. I would like it a lot, Nintendo. Please do.
That would be cool. I never really used Street Pass in the 3DS, mostly because I never really took it with me. I just played it at home. I'm not great at taking consoles with me. I don't think I've ever taken the Switch out of my house. So it mostly stays docked. But yeah, I mean, that seems to be something that fans want. I've also heard fans talk about, Miiverse again. And so just yeah, like if anything to kind of harken back to those old days, like dip into the nostalgia a little bit. And it seems like people really want it. And it'll be a good connectivity thing. Another selling point, so to speak, for the Switch 2 over the Switch, because I would rather them just bring it to the Switch 2 than just incorporate it on the Switch, because that way it would be like, hey, if you get the Switch 2, then you can have Street Pass.
Right.
So because one thing I'm a little bit worried about is trying to convert all the Switch owners to Switch 2 owners. So because I want a large player base when I'm going online in Splatoon. I don't. So yeah. So
sorry. I also feel like it could be a hard sell, not a hard sell, but like, when they introduced Switch, it was you knew what you were getting. 2 Joy-Cons, you take them off, you can play. There wasn't all these bells and whistles, and maybe that was a good thing. Like, there wasn't, hey, guys, there's also Street Pass on this console and Miiverse, and like, it felt like there's a whole learning curve. They didn't have any of that with Switch. I feel like if you're trying to convert people, you might just want to keep things basic. Yeah. That could be stupid. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing about Nintendo is that there's always some sort of surprise that at the time the Switch was released, this sounds crazy, but it's like I didn't even consider the idea of a hybrid console, like mobile and, docking to be a home console. And then once they announced it and I saw, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's perfect, because like their 3DS is so popular. They're, I don't know about the Wii U being popular, but the Wii was so popular as a home console, and just to have, instead of thinking about it as like 2 separate consoles, you just have one console that does both things. That was like a genius idea. And so I just wonder if there's just something they're going to do for the Switch 2 that like I just can't conceptualize yet, that I just don't have the brain power to conceptualize it. It's just going to like blow me away. Or are they just going to play it safe? Maybe they've like with the Wii U, we took too many risks, didn't work out. With the GameCube, we took a lot of risks. It didn't really work out financially at the time, but at the same time with the Wii, they took a ton of risks and it worked so amazing. And then, so I don't know. I don't know what kind of mode they're in. There might just be like, we're doing great. Let's just keep things the same. Switch 2, it's the same, but better.
Yeah. And they're very much in uncharted territory. Like with the Wii to the Wii U, I feel like they almost felt like they could just bring everyone over somehow, which didn't really work. With Switch to Switch 2, you gotta bring it. I mean, you kind of have to. It's scary for them, but maybe they can bring it with your 5th wish list pick. What do you got for us? Maybe this feature will change the world. Let us know.
So this is not
maybe not.
I was just saying, I don't know if my brain can conceptualize what they can do to make the Switch 2 just amazing. So my now 5th one, seems kind of just basic, but I really hope that they continue, with this, when they announce, the Nintendo Switch Online stuff and all that, all that stuff, having your Nintendo account is like one thing across devices. That was great. And I hope they just kind of continue with that, but I hope they expand Nintendo Switch Online with the release of the Switch 2 to include, more games, more titles. I do feel like it's a little bit of a trickle right now. And it's kind of a little bit annoying to me that you have the one tier you get access to, some of the games, another tier you get access to even more games. I don't know how they're going to address it, but I would love to see them start bringing over, the DS games, because there's a whole catalog that is just the DS and the 3DS has such a large catalog. I mean, it was so popular of a system, so many games out there that you can't really play on a modern system right now. And so I hope that the only way I can think they can do it is through Nintendo Switch Online, through just bringing in some DS or 3DS games over, or they could just do re-releases, remasters, stuff like that. That seems to be their trajectory right now. But there's a whole library that they could just add like every month. There's like a whole new slew of games that you all know and love that you could play, and then hey, you could do the screen vertically.
Yeah,
have two screens. Because I was thinking, I mean, if the Joy-Cons are magnetic, and I don't know if they are, but I don't know how powerful magnets you would need to lock those in, then it doesn't seem like too much trouble to say like, well, can't you just attach them, on top and bottom and switch it? I don't know. Hey, Switch. Anyway.
Yeah.
but like there's GameCube titles that like maybe the Switch 2 is powerful enough to actually start running GameCube stuff along with because they can do Nintendo 64 stuff. I don't know if GameCube is too powerful for what they're planning or not. But the other thing I want is Nintendo has kind of not a huge library, but they have a decent sized library of arcade titles that were arcade only that I think would be great to emulate and bring in on the Switch 2 or something like that, because they're bringing in all their old classics like the NES, the Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, all that stuff. But they have a few arcade titles out there that would be really cool to play again in the arcade format, because often what they would do is they would release their arcade games on the Nintendo. They'd be a little bit downgraded just to to work on that hardware, or if not downgraded, at least changed a little bit so that they could work on that hardware. But it would be cool to play some of their classic arcade games in the arcade form, like the original Donkey Kong or original Mario Bros. Or something like that. That's not through just playing it as the NES version of that arcade game. And so even like the original Killer Instinct, it would be kind of cool to play again, rather than like just playing like the Super Nintendo version of Killer Instinct, just the original arcade version of it. Or even if they wanted to, I would love to play the arcade Mario Kart games that are more modern on these systems. So just do it through Nintendo Switch Online. Don't make a big production. You don't need like a physical release of it all. But I would love to have, more. I don't play a ton of retro games, but I do have like a love for them. And I would just kind of like a way to kind of just dip my toes back into them like here and there. And there's just the DS is such a large library that I would just have to go get my DS, charge it, and then play again. But they got to bring them. They should bring them to the masses again. It's time. The new generation of players. There's a whole. I don't know how many hundreds of games they have on the DS that they just are not leveraging right now. So.
That arcade idea is like one of the best I've heard. Like, imagine bringing, as you said, that arcade Mario Kart and of course all the older ones. Like, that's sellable. That's really good. I would pay. There's even like a Luigi's Mansion arcade game. Have you seen that?
I have. Yeah, I haven't played it in person, but I haven't been to an arcade that has one.
Yeah, neither.
But yeah, that would be cool. I don't know. I'd have to look at the list of the classics, because I don't really remember all of them. But I know they had like the versus modes of these like different arcade games, and they had like the Punch Out in the arcade. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what that was called. But anyway, they do have a decent chunk, and it's not like they bring over a ton of titles anyway. Like they only have like a handful of NES titles, and I do hope they continue the release of those NES and Super Nintendo titles. I think they could expand it, honestly, but just keep like release more, like just keep them coming. They have such a large, and they even have like the Genesis, there. They could bring in the Game Gear, I guess, if they wanted to. They can make deals with other companies to bring in their games. I don't even remember the other companies right now, but like if Nintendo, to tie it back to the opening topic, they're fighting against like the emulation of their hardware, but they've made great deals with these companies to kind of emulate the Genesis on the Switch. So I think that's a good plan for them, just to keep on pushing that. And that, for me, honestly, it is a good selling point of the Switch. And if they want to increase the selling point of the Switch too, just having even more of that available, I guess I do wonder if they would delineate between Switch owners and Switch 2 owners, like Nintendo Switch Online. Even if they just release it, but also Switch owners could also play it, that'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. That'd be great. I just hope they time the expansion of Nintendo Switch Online. If they do it, I hope they time it with the release of the Switch 2 to further make it like a thing.
That would be perfect. And a lot of people argue like, hey, you don't want me to pirate these DS games, but you aren't selling them. Put them on Switch too. I would love it. Arcade games, DS games, 3DS games, give it all to us on Switch Online. I love that idea. I would be loving it because, I mean, like you said, I got to go charge up the DS if I want to go and play Nintendogs or something. It's not optimal. I want to play on my Switch. And I believe there's rumors of like the Switch 2 having a microphone. Give me Nintendogs, man. Give me Nintendogs.
Hey, there you
Give
go.
me something.
There you go. Give me Brain Age.
Something. Anything DS, I'll take it. But my fifth and my last wish list pick, this couldn't have been any more perfect because every single point that I've made has like tied into your previous one somehow, some way. This one doesn't tie in too much, but you said the name of a certain game series while you were speaking. I'm not sure if you know what I'm getting onto here, but on the Switch 2, this is not a feature, not a button that I want, nothing like that. On the Switch 2, I want to see the return of Punch-Out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I want to see it so bad. It's overdue. And the last Punch-Out on the Wii didn't even sell bad. It sold, I could actually have this wrong, I believe it sold like 3 million copies, which is not like a failure necessarily.
Right.
Like it's one of the better selling Nintendo. Not one of the better, but like it was good. It was decent. Pikmin hasn't sold those numbers and it was still trucking along. So I think Punch-Out, numbers-wise, can be fine. I don't care if it's a remaster of the Wii one. I don't care if it's a new one. I guess I would prefer a new one.
Yeah.
Give me Punch-Out, please, on the Switch 2. I just want to see that come back. If F-Zero can come back, I think Punch-Out can come back. So whether it's Punch-Out 99, give me something. Okay, that's what I want.
I could see that. I could see the Punch-Out 99 or something where you're just like fighting a whole bunch of like enemies over and over, competing against like 99 other people. Like I'm surprised Punch-Out didn't make it onto that NES compilation that they just released that I played.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. The speedrunning type of thing. Because like the whole thing is kind of it's a timed boxing match. So like who can beat Glass Joe the quickest? Who knows?
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool. But yeah, I would love to see the return of that, especially because, they have the character Little Mac and they're not really doing anything with him right now. And so it's always good, to see him. I don't know what kind of format I would want, though, because you're talking about they could do a gimmicky format. That would be interesting. But I think I would prefer just a whole new title in the series,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's best case scenario, but I feel like they don't always want to do that. So you know what, Nintendo, if you're watching, I'll take a 99. Either one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's making me think about other games that they haven't really leveraged. I mean, they have like the ARMS game. That
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah, I was thinking
do you feel like? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was gonna ask do you think ARMS unfortunately took over Punch-Out?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
It hurts to think about.
The thing is, I don't think about ARMS that much lately. I know that they released the characters for Smash Bros. And they made the amiibo of them. But like, I wouldn't be surprised to see an ARMS 2. Maybe it's a crossover.
Oh, that'd be cool. Little Mac in ARMS. Oh snap! It's happening.
No,
I'm kidding.
But yeah, that's got me thinking. Like, what other games do they need to like kind of leverage for the next system, like that they missed out on for the Switch? I'll have to think about that and like come back on it later. But
Chibi Robo.
Oh yeah, that was at the 3DS the last time they did that.
Yep, Ziplash. Yeah. Which honestly, maybe they should just end it there because I'm not sure after Ziplash, many people are going to buy a new one. But he's a charming fella. I give him that.
Yeah, just bring out Rob again. Just have a standalone Rob that sits on your table, connects to the Switch 2.
Phenomenal. We're taking a trip back in the day. Rob, Chibi, or at least like put him in Smash. Of course, Rob's in Smash, but put Chibi Robo in Smash. I guess Little Mac is too. Just put Chibi Robo in there. I'd be happy. Let him live something.
Man, if wasn't on my list, but obviously I want a new Mario Kart because 8 has been around forever. So
Yeah, over a decade.
yeah, and I think the only question
bad.
there is like, are they going to call it 9 or 10? Because do they consider Tor as 9? I don't know. So
I was asked this, and I 100% think that it will be 9, just because, like, there was some talk of Mario Kart Tour being like a mainline Mario Kart game, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But like at the same time, a game like Mario Party Island Tour didn't make Mario Party 10, Mario Party 11. Like it was just kind of like there.
That's a good
point. That's
point.
kind of like what I compare it to. And they both have Tour in the name somehow. So, maybe it's the same thing.
Well, I mean, in Mario Kart 8, both, the original and the deluxe, like, combined is like one of the top selling games of all time.
Yeah.
And so you would think they would really want to capitalize on that number 8 and say, like, this is 9, the next one. Like, if they release 10, people would be like, what happened to 9?
yeah. Someone's confused in there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We'll have to see what they do. Amazing conversation, but it's not over yet, because now we get to the final segment, the Q&A segment called the question block, where me and Zach answer your questions you asked us. Let's not delay it. Let's get right to it.
Okay.
Folks, hit the question block. Ding. I hit it. We are here at the question block segment, the Q&A segment, where you asked me and Zach questions. If you want to ask questions for any of these podcast episodes, there's a link down below to do so. It'll link you to my YouTube community tab of all places. I take questions there every Tuesday, somewhere around there. And also, if you don't want to wait for that, my Discord server is linked below. You can join that and send questions through there. But our first question comes from Cappy, who asks, who is your favorite video game character? Zach, for these questions, I'll begin with you. Unless, you were saying that you didn't know the answer to this. If you don't know, I'll go first.
Yeah, I have such a hard time picking favorites of things, because it's like there's so many different video game characters, so many different video games and genres and stuff. If I had to pick, I'd just pick Mario, because obviously I've played so many Mario games. I even love Mario in the Mario movie. And Mario is just so universal and translates well across various formats, and so I like Mario. But like, if I had to really sit down and think, I mean, like, maybe I would pick something different. So I'm not sure. What about you?
Mario is a safe pick for sure. Mine is so weird because, like, the thing is, I love Mario too. I love Mario, Sonic, all the great icons. But for me, I told you my favorite game, Animal Crossing, and there's some characters that you see where I feel like, big or small characters, you feel a connection to them. Even like, if someone's into sports, you might feel a connection to a certain player. There's no character, big or small, like no one knows who I'm going to name right now. There's a villager in Animal Crossing I felt a great connection to. His name is Fret. He's a green dog in Animal Crossing. Fret, F-R-E-T-T, if you're Googling it right now.
I am.
Something about that little green dog. I mean, it's a big statement to call him my favorite video game character, but I felt the most connection to him in the game. Now, would I also pick, like, as you said, Mario, Toad?
Yeah.
Maybe that takes the cake as favorite video game character, but Fret I felt a connection to. So, to close it out, I give 2 answers. I will honestly... I probably go... This might be shocking. I go Captain Toad or Yellow Toad, any of the Toads, just Toad in general.
Okay.
And Fret.
Okay. So yeah, that's interesting about Animal Crossing, because I do love the Animal Crossing franchise, but like maybe one of my least favorite characters in all of gaming history is Eugene from Animal Crossing. So I like if you were to ask me,
he's the koala, right?
Yes.
Oh God,
you don't like him either. Great.
He's not the greatest, I'll tell you that.
So wow. Okay, this is something that we can bond over then. So
wait, what did Eugene do to you? Is he just ugly, or was he?
Yeah, well, he's a lot of negative things, but he was in one of my villages in New Leaf, and he was just like kept interfering with like everything I was trying to do on the island. It seemed he was talking to like my favorite villager at the time, Cat, and he was just like kept messing around, like just like stop messing around and I got rid of him. I got rid of him.
But I got to catch you there. Your favorite villager was Cat?
Well, no, on my island, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
at
going
the
to say,
time,
I
like-
don't know about Cat, man. We're talking about Eugene and Cat. They both fit in one category. Not the greatest looking. I'm sorry, not to roast your favorite villager
Well,
here.
no, Cat's fine looking, but like I had Cat and Apollo on my
Apollo's
original
cool.
island. I made sure to get both of those on the latest one on
New Horizons.
was it New Horizons? Yeah, and I made sure to get both of those in my village again, and then so those are the two that stood out on my previous village. But like Eugene was like oh my gosh, I could not get rid of him fast enough.
Yeah.
He was just he thinks he's funny, but he's not. So I just go on.
We are roasting fictional animals. It's phenomenal. But the Speedy Yoshi asks us, speaking of being sick of things, wait, we weren't speaking of being sick of things, right? Wait, what did I just say?
Oh, I was sick of Eugene. Yeah.
Oh, right. Speaking of being sick of things, I knew that it made sense. I
Yeah.
just forgot what I was tying it to. Speaking of being sick of things, they ask, are you sick of all of these Switch 2 rumors flying around, or do you actively seek new ones when they come out? I'll begin with you.
Both.
Same, honestly.
It's like I wish they weren't there because I do actively seek them out. So I'm kind of like I wish I weren't doing this with my time, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean the thing about rumors is that only a few of them are going to end up being true. The rest are just not going to be true, and we'll know eventually. But I can't help but obsess over it sometimes and look into what they're going to do. So, what about you?
I'm the same. Like, I seek them out, but I am kind of sick because I was just telling you about how I saw that scroll wheel rumor from some jabroni on Reddit. We don't know if this guy's credible or not. We don't know. And I seeked that one out. But when I read it, I was like, ugh, this is just not true. I'm tired of seeing these, but I keep looking for them. So I'm like the same as you. Like, I look, if I see a Twitter post that says Switch 2 rumor, I'll look at it. Which also, like, I do seek them out because, like, I do a podcast about, like, I need to know, like, when they happen. But I am a little bit sick of the ones that, like, don't have any credibility backing them. If it's like, you know, there's some leakers in the space who have some credibility. If it comes from them, I'll listen in and I'll take it seriously and maybe even talk about it on this podcast. But otherwise, like, it's just kind of, why am I even reading this?
Yeah. I don't, man, I feel like also just kind of giving into the rumors sets yourself up for disappointment. That's kind of the space I'm in where like, if it doesn't have certain things, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be disappointed. I'd almost rather they just like announce it already just to get that phase over with.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't care if it's coming out next year. Just announce it now. Get me ready for it so I don't have to worry about it.
When do you think they will announce it? Like, getting over to kind of that topic now. Like, when? This month, maybe? Or it's tough.
I don't know. I would hope they would. I don't know, because I'm thinking about if they announce it before the holiday season, then maybe people will put off purchasing a Switch, and then so they might wait till after the holiday season to announce the Switch 2. But I mean, I guess it just depends on when they. You know, they haven't announced any Switch 2 games unless that Metroid Prime 4 becomes a dual release. So, I don't know. I don't know whether I would wait. Honestly, I would wait till after. If I were Nintendo, I would wait till after the holidays to release it. But they might just want the news cycle. You know, you gotta also look at like the financial quarters. I don't know when those dates line up. You know, they might want to just kind of appease some of their investors and just get the announcement out there at the end of the quarter or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have to look up when those are because I'm not too familiar with that cycle. But for consumers, I would wait until after the holiday to announce it. So I don't know.
Right. And that's smart. And I'm not trying to roast people who think this way because I think this way. I thought about it like this ever since like a month ago or so. People are like, well, they showed off the Switch in October, so maybe they'll do the Switch 2 in October. The difference is when they showed off the Switch in October, there was nothing to sell that holiday season. No one was buying Wii U's anyway. So like they kind of had to get out of that as soon as possible. So I feel like that was kind of pushed. And I always refer back to this one statement that a guest said on this show whenever we talk about the Switch 2 reveal. Nintendo said they would show off the Switch 2 before the end of this fiscal year that ends next March.
Okay, yeah. So there we go.
Alex from Nintendo Life came on this podcast and said they wouldn't have said end of this fiscal year if they were going to announce it this year. They would have just said end of this year.
Okay, that March.
That makes me think
Yeah, that answers my question, because I was thinking about it in terms of like the investors and stuff. And I just didn't know when the quarter or whatever was going to end. So like if they said fiscal year, that makes a lot of sense. Then that would be March. If that's when it ends. Yeah, that's what I would bank on then. Some February, March, something like that. Then because yeah, maybe before when they announced the Switch in October, that was like, hey, don't buy any other consoles. You got to save up for the Switch.
Yeah, exactly. So, there you go.
Save your holiday money. Just don't for Christmas. Don't buy anything else. Just wait. Yep. But this one, they're like, yeah, this one. I mean, they have. Don't they have a new Switch bundle coming out for the season? Or is it out now? Or is it
correct?
Yeah.
There was no release date, but I believe they set out this fall Mario Kart bundles for the Switch and Switch OLED. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I imagine they want to sell those, so they probably will hold off on announcing.
Smart. Yeah. Yeah, it sucks to say, because like I've been on this hype train, like, yeah, it's happening September, October. Like I've brought it up on this podcast, and I change my opinion every week. It's like now, sitting here now, October 4th as of recording, I think it's next year probably. I mean, like I'm gonna keep on saying on this podcast, guys, October, maybe next week. Yeah, my gut says next year, honestly. Like,
yeah,
if it didn't happen by now,
I could see them doing something where they just do a teaser of like a game coming out, and then they say like 2025 on the Switch successor or something like that. Like, and they don't like exactly name it, but they just like start hinting at it super heavily. They have already hinted at it by saying in that one direct that it wasn't going to contain any info about the Switch successor, and so that was a hint that obviously there will be a Switch successor.
Yeah, for sure. We got something.
I don't even. Yeah, so I don't know. But as far as like an official like, hey, the Switch 2, or whatever the title is, I still think it's gonna be Switch 2. But whatever the title ends up being, maybe they won't do an official title unveil until next year. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting stuff for sure. But what we do in the meantime is we play games and don't have a name. And I'm sorry, asks, that's their username, by the way. They ask, which indie game are you waiting to play on Switch? Personally, I can't wait for Help Wanted 2 and Ruin. Any indie games, Zach, that you're into or waiting for?
So, no.
Okay.
I should have looked this one up. But no, typically, I mean, indie games tend to release on multiple platforms. So typically I tend to go on like a PC or something if I'm going to record an indie game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have to be like a Switch exclusive for me to consider playing an indie game on a Switch for me personally, just because of the fact that when I play, I'm usually recording videos of it, and I try to just play on whatever's the best hardware available to me. So, and I also just don't know the indie games coming out right now on the Switch. I don't pay close attention to that one. What about you?
Well, first of all, I am agreeing, and you buy it on PC because it runs better. Some indie games on Switch, I like to support indies, but they don't run very well at all.
Yeah.
Well, though, we did talk about that Mario Bros. 3 Christmas. I guess it's already out, but like it's coming to Switch. I might pick it up, Well,
there you
That's
go.
one that I'm looking forward to. There are some other ones. I actually didn't know if this was an indie game, so I looked it up. Level 5, who I believe makes Fantasy Life and Professor Layton, I believe, I looked it up. They're like one of the bigger indie studios. So they're indie, but like they're pretty big, so it's not as indie as some other indies. Regardless, they're making a game called Fantasy Life, the girl who steals time or something. It's coming to Switch. Whenever that comes out, I would love that. That's one that I'm looking forward to if that is considered an indie game. So yeah, one of those two games, and then also I'll add this little note. I am looking to buy. There's an indie game. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It came out like 4 years ago. It's called Pumpkin Jack.
Sounds familiar.
It's a Halloween like 3D platformer. I'm looking to buy that on Steam just to celebrate October.
Okay. There's
so that'd be good.
I'm looking through a quick list, and there was I had heard about Pro Country, but I don't know anything about it. I just heard about it, and I think it was like kind of like an ode to like old school survival horror games. But again, I would probably play that on something else other than the Switch. But it looks like it is coming out to the Switch. And then I'm just scrolling through, like if there's anything that has like that catches my eye, like even like the Plucky Squire, I ended up playing on the PC, but I did want to play that, and so I played that on the PC. It looks like Stray is coming out for the Switch.
Right, yeah, that little cat game. That one looks good.
That would be pretty cool. And then, I mean, I'm just not up to date. I mean, like, I feel like I'm swamped with games, but I don't play that many really. But I feel like it. And then like, there's so many indie games, and I just don't know. It's kind of just whatever, if an indie game kind of like just like enters like the news cycle really hard or something, then I'll like tune into it. I'm like, what's going on with that? And so like Crow Country, I've seen around like some of the blogs and stuff, and it like caught my eye. I don't know if I'll play it, but I mean, it sounded a little bit interesting to me. But yeah, so yeah. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you.
All good, yeah. I don't have really much of one because my game that like Fantasy Life has been announced. That was supposed to come out in 2022, believe it or not.
Oh wow!
It's still not out, and it's delayed to next year. So it's going to be 3 years later when it was planned to come out.
You might be playing it on the Switch too.
I've known about that forever. Yeah, we're going to be playing it on the Switch too. I guarantee it. We can move to our next one. Lilia Garcia asks, when will the next 3D Mario game release, if we had to guess?
Man, I'm hoping with the release of the Switch 2.
Yes.
I'm hoping, because they haven't had a 3D Mario game since Odyssey, right? Or does Bowser's Fury count?
Correct.
I guess
that can count, but it's not as big, of course. So
yeah, so I mean, I really hope that the next big Mario game releases alongside the Switch. The thing is Mario is an even bigger title for them now with the success of the movie. So I really hope they lean into it for the release of the Switch. It would really help push Switch's numbers up, the Switch 2's numbers up. And I think, is the next Mario movie releasing next year? Or is that 2026?
I think it's 26.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, maybe if that's the case, they might need a big Mario game for 2025. Yeah,
probably.
So
do you think it'll be Odyssey 2, or do you think it'll be like a new thing?
Oh man, that's a good question, because I gotta wonder if they leaned into the success of Breath of the Wild with Tears of the Kingdom, which was built off of kind of the same system, and so I could see them being like, hey, Odyssey did so well for us, let's just do like an Odyssey 2. We can continue doing new things, like they had Galaxy and then Galaxy 2, and I could see them wanting to do new things, but also I don't think the company likes Galaxy 2 that much. So yeah. I don't know.
Honestly.
So maybe they're like, we don't want to repeat what we did with Galaxy 2, so we might just make something brand new. I could see it either way, really. But I think if I'm leaning towards a whole new thing, just because of how I feel like if it would have been Odyssey 2, we might have heard rumblings about it by now. But if it's like a whole new thing, they'd be like a lot more secretive about it. So I'm kind of leaning towards a whole new thing. I wouldn't mind Mario 2, like Odyssey 2. That would be really cool, but I'm prepared to be surprised.
Yeah.
So
for me, honestly, I don't think that they'll do an Odyssey 2, just because, I mean, we saw like they pretty much did a new Super Mario Bros. 2 with the Wii U, and like the big thing was like, what's really different here? It looks like the same thing, just a second version. It didn't like set the world on fire. Like, you gotta like wow people, and Mario Bros. U didn't really wow people. I feel you gotta bring something. So I think it'll be a new 3D Mario game. But for me, when do I think it'll release? I think it has to release with the Switch 2, because every Nintendo console as of the past 2 decades have released with a Zelda game or a Mario game. I think you gotta do. Wait, that's right? What did 3DS launch with? I didn't actually take into account DS or 3DS, but GameCube, Wii, and Wii U all had a Mario or Zelda game. DS, I could be lost there. I'm not sure if Mario or Zelda launched with those. Home consoles, they always had a Mario or Zelda. I think Switch 2 is gonna need it.
Yeah, I think the 3DS was kind of lacking. I'm Googling it now. I think they kind of lacking on titles, and then but they eventually came out with a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think they're ready to release a new mainline Zelda game, and so I would be super surprised if they like, hey, we have a brand new Zelda game for the Switch 2. I'd be like, what, already?
Jeez, after just that'd be 2 years, not even. Well, maybe like just passing Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, 2 years
Yeah.
after, that would be quick, but we're long overdue for a new 3D Mario. Hopefully we get it.
For sure.
And then our next question could be a bit of a very easy one to answer, but no, but I want to know this. This is why I put it on here. So the question is, like, I'm not sure how to pronounce this name. Novone, I'm sorry. When would you get a Switch 2 when it drops? Now, the answer for both of us is, of course, day one. We want to make content when we want to have it. We're excited, of course. But here's what I wanted to turn the question into. How do you get your Switch on day one, Zach? Are you a midnight release guy? Are you the snag your little Amazon pre-order and wait? Like, what's kind of how, or what is the method you will use to get your Switch 2?
However I can, honestly. Like, if that now, before I try to get them online, and I usually try to get like multiple retailers in case one of them cancels.
Right. Yeah.
So I usually try, because I can always cancel, or I can just return it. Like if I pre-order from Target or Amazon or whatever, I can just return it, or Best Buy. But I'll probably try to get it wherever I can. From what I've heard, again, this might be a rumor, is that Nintendo's trying to get the supply up, and maybe that's why they're taking a little bit longer. And so I hope there's not supply issues. I wouldn't be surprised if there's supply issues. So yeah, I'm going to try to pre-order from multiple places, not because I'm, going to hoard them or because I want to flip them or anything.
Yeah.
I promise everybody, if I get multiple Switch 2s, I will not resell them.
He will give them away for free. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe a giveaway or a friend who needs one, or like maybe you weren't able to get one. Something like that. So yeah, like I do not, scalp them or, mark them up or anything like that. I've never done that. And so, yeah, I hope to just get them through pre-order means. I would love it if it's, if I could just pre-order at Best Buy or something, then show up at midnight and get it.
Yeah.
Back in the day when the Wii was first released, I camped out. I was like maybe third or fourth in line at Best Buy.
Dang.
And I camped out all night, and it was so cold.
Because that was in like November, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. It was so cold. And this is the same Best Buy that I still go to today. But yeah, what had happened is I knew that the Wii was coming out, but I wasn't doing videos back then. I was like a fan. I had the GameCube. But like I kind of thought like, oh, I'll get one eventually. And then I wasn't like super hardcore like wait in line type of guy about it. But we went to Best Buy for some reason that day, and I noticed there's like a couple people just like lined up at the front. I'm like, oh, you guys for the here for the Wii? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, maybe I should wait. And so I did, and like I just waited in line with my friend all night. And this was like from 5 p.m. until like. It wasn't even a midnight release. They did like a 7 or 8 a.m. release.
Yeah.
And so it
not
was
ideal.
Just like, no. And so there was a Walmart right next to it, and I just like kept going into Walmart to buy those hand warmers that you break open, and just like it was putting them in my gloves, and I had my mom bring me like my heavy coat and my so I was just like I was just there and like. Yeah, but it was great. I did not sleep that night. I tried to like sleep just like kind of leaning against the wall, and like some people had chairs. I did not. So I was just like
sitting there or just standing.
I hope to not have I really hope to not have to do that. I haven't had to do that since I've been able to like get pre-orders for like the PS5 and all that type of stuff, in advance, multiple retailers do. I have some friends, my friend Jordan, who also edits some of my videos. He's the one who actually secured the pre-order for the PS5 for me, and so he got it in my in my name and everything like that, and my address, and so and so I don't remember what the circumstance was, but like he was online at the time, and I was like out of the house or something when it went live, and so I was texting him. I was like, "Can you get it for me, please?" So I hope that there are no issues with the Switch 2. It would be so frustrating, especially for someone like us who does content based around them. I don't want to have to like start sending Nintendo messages like, please, can I get a Switch 2?
Yeah.
So yeah, but
it's gonna be tough. Maybe
that's what I hope to do. I hope to avoid waiting in lines, but if I really have to, I would do it again. I'm older now, but I'll do it again. I'll suffer through. Well, it might be in the warmer season, so maybe it won't be so bad.
Yeah, hopefully it's in like June, which would be great.
Yeah.
Please don't be in like November again. Nothing like that. For me though, here's the thing. I've never waited in line. Well, that's a lie. I was in line for the Switch at Target the morning, not the night. The morning I was in like 4th grade. The morning that came out, I was in line. Skipped school, by the way. And so I waited in line for Tears of the Kingdom so I can get the collector's edition. So I waited in line twice. I had to get there at GameStop for the Tears of the Kingdom at like 9 a.m. I had to wait in line, make sure that I got the special edition, and then I could go home and then come back at midnight to get it. Because you had to like something about like you had to be there at 3. You could like buy it at 3 if you were waiting in line, and like the first 4 people to wait in line, they like only had 4. First 4 people in line could get it. I got it. Anyways, with the Switch 2, I want to make it an effort. I've never waited in line seriously for anything.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna show up to my Best Buy like 2 days early. Like be the first one in line at my Best Buy.
You could vlog about it. You could live stream about it. It's gonna be, and people could show up and harass you about it.
Yeah, I will not reveal where, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. As crazy as it sounds, like, I'm gonna place a pre-order everywhere, but I think I want to go not only to like actually get my Switch 2, not only to be first in line, but like to experience like a midnight launch for a console. I've never done a midnight launch for a console ever, only for a game, Tears of the Kingdom, but never for a console. So I think that's, whether it's good or bad, I want to experience it.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm probably going to do everything I can to avoid doing that. So.
Yeah. I feel like after you do it once, especially if it was like your story, like cold and everything, you might not want to do it again. But for me, I've never done it, so I want to do it.
Oh man, yeah. My memory is a little bit hazy because I was so sleep deprived at that point by the time I got it. But like it was nice. They let us in, like kind of one by one, and then we just got to buy it. And they had a selection of games that we could choose and accessories, and like I think we could only get like one of each, And so I got the Zelda Twilight Princess, right? Is that the one?
Yeah, correct.
I got that one, and I got like a few other games. I don't really remember which ones I got. But the Zelda one was the one that stuck out to me because that's the one I was most excited about. And then I got like a few accessories, a few like extra, Wiimotes. Yeah. And then I got out of there, and then I played a little bit when I got home. Then I like slept all through the day, and then woke up at night.
And then there goes the sleep schedule. It's all messed up.
Yep.
But it was worth it, probably. Got some weed.
Yeah, it was worth it, and that was shortly before the Thanksgiving weekend, not like directly before, but like a couple weeks I think before, or maybe a week before or something like that. Yeah. So it was pretty cool, and it was cool to have the new system, and it was cool to be excited. It was cool to have everyone excited about the same thing, and that's kind of what we lived through with the Switch as well. Like with the Wii U, not everyone was excited about it, so it was just kind of like the diehard fans, but for like the Wii back then, and then for like the Switch, those were periods of time where like tons of people were so excited about the systems, and I'm hoping that we get the excitement again. I hope it doesn't mean that we have to wait in line.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, and the question is, before we move on, does the Wii still work?
Probably. I haven't turned it on lately.
Maybe.
I have all my old systems, not in this closet, but in a different closet. I have all my old consoles just in their boxes. And I assume it still works. I haven't had a reason to turn it on. Or really, sometimes when I want to take a trip back down memory lane, I'll grab a console and plug it in for a little while. But most of the time, I just kind of spend focusing on like, the more current games and making videos about those. I could maybe do a throwback series. That would be fun.
That'd be sick. But,
yeah.
some Wii Sports action, who knows? But Goatfish asks, do you want Nintendo to go back to a home console and a portable console, or continue on with the hybrid model?
I prefer the hybrid. I really do now. I like everyone on the same page. I did like, the 3DS, and I did like, the Wii and the Wii U and everything. But like I said, once they announced the Switch, it just everything just clicked in my head. It just made sense. I couldn't believe I didn't think of it. Like that's the perfect idea. And then they executed it really well. Like they had a great plan, perfect execution. And so I hope that it continues to be hybrid, because they're the only ones who are doing it. And, you can't just pick up, well, I mean, technically, I guess they have like the the PS5 thing, remote play or whatever, whatever. You can
Right.
technically go. So, but the Switch 2 is so special. I never take it with me. Like I said, the only times that I undock my Switch was like, it was just so much easier doing Mario Maker 2 and creating levels with an undocked Switch and being able to use the screen like a little stylus thing. And but most of the time it's docked. So it's like, if you want it to be a portable console, it's your portable console. If you want it to be your home console, it's your home. I don't see any problems with it. I like the way it is. As hybrid, it's perfect.
For sure, yeah. Here's the only argument, though. Remember, like with the DS, though, games were much more like DS interactive, like with the microphone and the touchscreen. Like you kind of lose some of that with the hybrid. That's the only like downside kind of thing. So it's tough to pick for me in that way because I like those DS and 3DS games,
Yeah, and they can be it gives them room to be more creative. Whereas maybe with the Switch 2, they're not going to feel like taking a bunch of risks with the hybrid, with the not hybrid, but with the separate models. They can take risks with one of them. Maybe they decide I don't know if they're ever going to do it again, but maybe they decide, what, it's time to do another VR headset. Like we see the Oculus doing well, or whatever they call it now, the Meta doing well. We see that. We see Apple entering we see PlayStation with their thing. Now, personally, I think if they were to do a VR headset, it would attach to the Switch. It would connect to the Switch. But maybe they're like, what? We've developed a VR headset that's also a portable console. It's totally separate from the Switch. We're taking a risk with it. We're just kind of messing around, seeing how it goes. Maybe that's what they do. They're like, yeah, your Switch is your hybrid console, but this VR thing, it's your portable. It's another console that's like separate, but it's equally fun in its own way. You have a different game style with it. But again, I think if they do end up doing it, I think they'll interface with the Switch. But I'm just saying, if they wanted to, I could see them doing it.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll freaking see. I mean, if I had to pick one, I guess I really love the home and handheld systems. Just, I don't know, there's something nice about having the Wii U stay at home and take your 3DS. It's like two different experiences, but in the same breath, if you want to play Smash Bros. At home and on 3DS, too bad, you got to pay $100 total. $60 for the Wii U Smash Bros. And $40 for the 3DS one. Like, it's not optimal. So I guess I do land on hybrid, but I would really love a home and handheld console. It would be nice. I would like it, but it's kind of not optimal.
Here's an idea for you then. Maybe they'll release something where it's like, if you buy 2 Switch 2s, you can do dual screen.
I would do it.
And then you could have one of your Switch 2s be your home console and one of your Switch 2s be your portable console.
I would love that. Here's a question. There's rumors of there being 2 Switch models, for example, like a smaller one and a bigger one.
Yeah.
Are you in favor of that?
I guess so. If they kind of do it already with and they've done that with the 3DS, not necessarily at launch, but if they did it at launch, it would be interesting. It could give people like a cheaper way into it. Like if they don't want some sort of bells and whistles that they're going to, put into the full model or something like that. I hope they don't do it where it's like, yeah, we have the Switch 2, but then we have a premium Switch 2. I hope it's not marketed like that. Although it would be like kind of the same result if they had, the Switch 2 and then like a Switch 2 Lite. It would be like the same result where the Switch 2 is the premium one. But I hope they don't say because right now I don't really like what they're doing with like the PS5 where they have the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. I don't really like that. Although I see the reason why someone would want the Pro over, the other one. So I hope they don't try to like divide their user base like that. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm in favor of it. I could see them doing it, with the 3DS and the 2DS, they had like kind of the lighter versions. Like I remember specifically the 2DS that didn't fold that they had. That was like, I could see someone just like who just wants a simple form factor. They don't have to worry about all this other stuff. I think it just depends on how they do it. If I would be in favor of it. What do you know what the rumors are, or like what do you think the?
Yeah, I forget. I think it might just be bigger. I forget it. I forget exactly what it is, but I think it might just be bigger. And that's all a rumor. I don't know if it'll happen, but
yeah.
I think, yeah, it could just be bigger. What would also be cool is if they did like kind of how the Switch launched, like with the gray Joy-Cons and the red and blue, like you have options kind of thing. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see. I would get the bigger Switch though. It would be cool.
But I would be inclined to definitely get whatever the best one was that they released. I would get that one.
For sure.
So,
and then our final question comes from username. His name is username. That's A. Okay. Regardless, they ask, if you were to live inside of the last game that you played, how would life be, and would you be surviving?
oh man, that's a good question because the last game I played was Echoes of Wisdom.
Oh boy.
So I hope I'm not trapped in a rift. I might be waiting for Zelda to come like get rid of the rift so I can get out of there.
Right. So then you can get out. Yeah.
But then I'd be able to see Try. So,
But would you be surviving? Do you think that if you were maybe Zelda, do you think you could survive?
Yeah, they don't kill off a lot of Zelda characters, so I think I'd be surviving.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
What about you? What's the last game you played?
Trying to think. So the last game that I played was Animal Crossing City Folk last night.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But yeah, I'll be chilling. But I did also recently play Echoes of Wisdom, and I think that's the more fun one to talk about. Listen, I just got to the part where I'm fighting off the Redads. I haven't played very, too much. I'm in the Gerudo Desert area. I haven't played very much. I'm like still at that point. I'm fighting off these Redads, bro. I would be dead. I would be dead fighting these guys. Like, is it just me or they do a lot of damage? I have 4 hearts or like 5 hearts now.
Yeah, that game surprises me as to how much damage I take, and I think they just allowed it because you're able to heal so easily. You can just like create a bed and just lay on the bed. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, every time I get hit, I'm like, wow, I took like 3 or 4 hearts. Like, what happened?
I know, it's crazy. I would be dead, man. Oh boy. But
yeah, well,
City Folk though, I'm surviving.
Oh yeah, thriving.
Yeah. I'm going to the city. I'm selling fruit to make money. Life is good. Life is good. But folks,
oh yeah,
those are our questions, and that is it for the Mario Matter episode 109. Zach, this was a whole lot of fun. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have any upcoming projects, any cool things to share? Are you playing any games that are upcoming that you want to talk about? Anything cool going on?
Well, I mean, my channel, I do like a lot of Let's Play content, a lot of straightforward Let's Play content. So I'm of course going to be doing the Super Mario Party Jamboree, the Mario and Luigi Brothership, all that stuff. But really just thank you for having me, Max. I really did have a lot of fun. And so I would love to do it again sometime. So I'll be back for episode 110
next week. No, I'm kidding.
No,
at some point.
Thank you for having me.
For sure, man. For sure.
Thanks for the invite. It was really fun.
Also, where can they find you on the social medias, on YouTube? Let everyone know where they can find you.
Oh yeah, I'm ZackScottGames on YouTube. If you want to find me on Twitter or X or whatever you call it, I'm just Zack Scott.
Perfect. Alrighty, folks. I will see you next week with some more Mario Matter and a guest. I'll see you all then. Thank you, Zach. It was amazing. Hope to see you next Saturday. Meet us there, 10 a.m. every single Saturday, Eastern time, of course, on this channel and on Spotify, Apple, everywhere. We'll see you then. Adios.
Adios.